So I want to read over a treatise on the law of names and changes of names. Okay. And this book was written in 1906 by author Charles Fox Davis and P.W.P. Carline Britton. These are, I believe, were barristers, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, of Lincoln's Inn, barristers at law. So, go ahead and take the spookism out of that. So you guys won't think I'm just reading one of the guru's books off the internet. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this book. If you took my class in the past, I'm sure you're familiar. If you took any of the other educators out there, they may have given you this book as well. So if you are familiar with this book, great. If not, great. Either way, I think it's beneficial to give some resource material on uh, names in general. And whether you're reading something that was written in the land of England or if you were back in the early 16, 17, 1800s, whatever, I think it's still good material because, the United States of America is nothing more but uh, the daughter of the parent or parent company, right? Uh, over there in Europe, the British colonies, right? I'm gonna go here. It talks about names and how names antedate um, surnames. And surnames you may be familiar with in today's time, use as your last name, and then your front name, which is called your first name, and your front name is typically written after your surname. Give you a little fun fact on that one. That's because of surname. I think it was French when it was made or when it was termed as above or over and above. And that's how you got the surname. So it was typically written surname, then the front name below it, like that. So that's how actually the surname coming before the front name written out actually came about. It wasn't originally that way. Honestly, no one had a last name or a surname uh, in this system here, right? Everyone was called by their uh, so-called front names. Typically, honestly, no one really needed a name because everybody was able to be known by the lands that they held, right? That's how they were identified and described, whereas by how or by the lands that they actually held. Now, after time and commerce came about, trade, humans began to expand, mankind, etc. The necessity of to be more descriptive came into play. And that's how you got surnames or last names. For example, my last name is Thompson. Then Tom, son, that was a descriptive way of identifying who I was. Now, my father may have named me John, right? My dad's name was Tom. That was Tom's son. That was Robin's son, right? We all can agree that there's names that none of us probably would have picked out of a hat or if not picked out of a hat, but there's names none of us would have picked ourselves. They were merely opinions of other people to identify us, and through time you've adapted that name. Like, they had people back then named Blacksmith. I mean, obviously their family was known to be blacksmiths, right? So I mean, I'm not saying that's they only got their names in that way, but that was a very documented and known way how people actually got their names. But I can talk a little bit more on that. I definitely wanted to get into what are they, well, how do we get our names? And they'll tell you that really a baptismal name is the highest form of a name. Did you know you cannot change baptismal names whatsoever? A name given in baptismal is an unalterable record that cannot be changed. And I know when you're thinking about baptism, most people thinking about in today's time dipping you in a big puddle of water in a pool or something. Actually, no, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't even have to be in the church. It could be at your private house, be at your crib, be at your spot, be in the car, be outside. You all need some little bottle of water. Sprinkle on you a little bit, you know. Give that little speech. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bang. How do you record it? Do you say? Well, maybe the Bible. Bible is an actual record, right? You can actually use a Bible as a record, by the way. They're saying that a name given to you at baptism is actual the most powerful and unalterable name. It's on a higher footing given a name that's actually uh, given to you by your mother and your father, they say. A baptismal name. Typically, the name your mother and your father gives you would be your baptismal name because at the time of your birth, that's kind of symbolic on how you're entering, out of the water, right? From the water you come out of your mother's womb and you're being born and things like that. At times, then it was ceremonial. That was a real sacred time, I would say one of the closest times that you are, dancing with nature. You're creating life. The closest you might be to God or your creator or whatever and that's just my take from the law and equity aspect of it. And for what I've learned, but again, a baptismal name cannot be changed. Well, and then you might say, well, why are we able to go and change our names? What I just say. If a baptism name cannot be changed, that means any other name can be changed. A name not given to you at baptism, that can be changed anytime. And these courts, this system knows, right, that your name is not given to you in baptism. Or if they don't know, they know that you don't know. A real name, a proper name is given to you in baptism. That's a lie because my name is on the birth certificate. Let's talk about that. Birth certificate does not give you a name. Just think about it. You're not even able to use that document as a form of identification. It's hearsay. How do you really know? My mom told me I was born at this time, this day, right? I mean, I get that. But how do you really know? You don't have firsthand knowledge of that. Let's just say you do. Let me tell you what they say about putting a name on a birth certificate. I'm not going to give you my opinion on it. I'm going to read it. 100 Men versus a Book. Brought to you by Living Equity. Let's get to it. So nonconformists point to the provisions and procedures of the Act for the registration of births. But such a supposed custom is obviously a fallacy. Well, what are they talking about? I know I started off in the middle of the paragraph. So I just gave you a little context, a little basis of this book. What are they talking about? It says here, there is no way known to the law by which a man or woman can change a name which has been given in baptism. Of course, an act of parliament, you might be like, pause, parliament, man. We got Congress, man. What are you talking about, parliament? Well, this is written over there in the English land, right? Shout out to my people over there in Europe, Europa. Um, a lot of they're the parent company of the colonies in the United States here, and a lot of our laws were actually birthed from that particular region of the world. So that's just why history is important. Now, whether you agree with it, that's up for the question, debate, whatever. But is it what it is? Daggone right. It's what it is. Uh, then it says, of course, an act of parliament can do anything in this country, and in consequence, any change in the Christian name acquired by baptism must be made by an act of parliament. Where baptism does not take place, the Christian name, though selected and given by the parents, is on a different footing. Whatever force it may acquire, and one would hesitate to say definitely that it has any force at all, is derived only from opinion, repute. Hmm. You know, I'm doing you unjust right now. Let me just go ahead and stop playing and read this thing so you can really follow me along. This is typically classroom material, ladies and gentlemen. So you are being blessed. Okay, you are being blessed. And I appreciate the Most High, the Creator, the Almighty, the Omniscient, the Alpha, the Omega. Let's get it going, man. For having this moment with me. Come on. So front names. One of the earliest evolutions in progress of human nature from savagery to civilization is marked when one reaches that point of the existence of individuality, when the use of a name is obvious a necessity. Okay, it says four names are what we now term Christian names. The earlier form of the term is Christian names. Of course, antedate surnames, personal or hereditary. So they're telling you that front names, first names, come way before, many centuries before the surname, aka your last name. And the Christian church, in all its embracing practices of appropriation of authority, and in its particular practice of grafting religious ceremony on its own occasions of ceremonial which it found in existence, quickly absorbed within its control and authority over Christian names. It says there is no specific statutory basis for such authority, which must be implied. So there's no statute, there's no law, there's no at law, there's no code that um, enforces or establishes, or defines a name or how you would obtain a name. So it's implied, right? Nor is there the smallest express legislation, declaration, or legislative declaration thereof, but undoubtedly the common law of this country does recognize the existence of ecclesiastical law. Excuse me. And save insofar as it has been specifically abrogated or is in admitted conflict with the common law and therefore invalid. Ecclesiastical law unquestionably retains a certain force and authority which cannot be ignored. So we already understanding that the names are under ecclesiastical law, the authority of the church, right? It says the common law will, of course, recognize and enforce custom on proof made of the custom. Now, a religious practice is custom. What is the first Bill of Rights? Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. That's a custom. And when you're placing names under a ecclesiastical law, it becomes a custom. It's based on religious beliefs. Okay, you following me? Good. It says, so that there can be no doubt of the effect and law of a custom so widespread and universal as the giving of names in baptism. So this is a universally known thing. This is not spookism or something that's abnormal, right, to the system. It says there is no way known to the law by which a man or woman can change a name which has been given in baptism. So the people who don't want to conform and say, hey, look, we don't want to conform to custom being the way that names are given. We're going to point to the act of birth as how one got their name, right? But it says nonconformists point to the provisions and procedure of the act of the registration of birth. But such a supposed custom is obviously a fallacy. The act is one for the registration of the fact of birth and of that only. Wow. 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 That's just true. It got to be truth, right? Just think about it. Think about it for a second. Registration of birth. You know, when you go to the hospital and you guys admit yourself to the hospital, you get an MRN number. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about, right? What is the MRN number? A medical registration number, right? I believe it is. And this little wristband they put on you, you and the baby, got the digits and codes and numbers, right? And, you know, when that child is born, you don't have a name for that child. A lot of us maybe still be trying to think about the name. We haven't made a decision yet. You know, we're going through the emotions. Well, you know, this name's going to last forever. I haven't chosen a name just yet. I'm going to tell you right now, the hospital has. What do you mean the hospital have name? I named my baby. How you can't name my baby? They named it baby girl, baby boy, last name. Yeah. Baby girl Johnson. Baby boy James. Baby girl Wilson. You know, this is them creating an identifier, and then they're making these names only for the purpose to identify. Believe it or not, that's exactly what they're doing, and you know it. They tell you. I mean, it's obvious. You see it on the doors. It doesn't say the name. It's baby girl, baby boy, and then it has the measurement, height, weight, who the parents are. Right? Descriptive. So that registration, not of the birth certificate initially, but the hospital records. It's the registration of the fact of birth and of that only. It says the insertion of the name of a child is a mere matter of convenience and desirability for purpose of identification. Whoa, let's read that again. The act is one for registration of the fact of birth and of that only. The insertion of a name of a child is a mere matter of convenience. Just because it's convenient doesn't mean it's, you know, I'm only doing it out of convenience. It doesn't have to be done. And is a desirability for purposes of identification. Well, I desire to have $1 billion right now, but do I have it? No, I don't. I don't have it. Not spellcast myself is coming. I do have it. What are you talking about? I have it. It's upstairs in my mattress. That's a lot of money being a mattress. It's a desirability of the purpose of identification. So I'm desiring to identify you, and it's convenient to put this here, but it doesn't give you a name. It says, while it's the act distinctly provides that the fact of a birth must be registered. It is perfectly possible for the child to be registered without a name. Baby girl, baby boy Johnson. The name may be subsequently added to the register, but the provisions relating to the name are purely permissive. And for all that act, or any other act, or any law or custom provides to the contrary, any person may live or die carefully, refraining from acquiring any Christian name at all. They didn't say personal name. They didn't say Muslim name, and no shot to my Muslim brothers and sisters at all. I'm just being honest. It said Christian name. Now I would talk about your tribal or indigenous name, or your Moorish name, or whatever you have, how to operate in that name, and understand this. And this is my take on it. And I'm gonna get back to this. I don't believe in going to the court and changing my name, my Christian name, to a tribal name or Moorish name. I believe there are two separate entities. I think if you're dealing with the indigenous side of things and tribal matters, or you're part of the Moorish group, I don't. I believe that it's like operating a new vessel. It should have its own identifier. It should own the property of that estate that you are claiming to be claiming to be a beneficiary of. Now this is the spookism part of it. But that's how you become an AKA if you're really trying to avoid some form of relation attachment to this name, changing it to or from the all caps name or the name on your birth certificate to the tribal name does nothing more but create an alias. So this is how they still try to say it's you. I did. This is not my name. My name is Abdul Ali. Jamal Abdul Shabazz. And I got a name change right here. It's nothing but an AKA to them. Because changing is not correcting. I believe in correcting the matter first and foremost. The errors, the mistakes that happen during your minority. And now I can show competency to go and maybe enter into contracts with other nations and become a part of their nations and receive their protection, privileges, and benefits, and have an entity in which I've received those protections and benefits, known as my indigenous, tribal, whatever name that you have. And that entity will have its own EIN number. But because it's in its own jurisdiction and it's outside of the state or the United States, I wouldn't commingle it by asking the courts for permission to be called something I'm already granting myself to be called, because I don't need their court for that. I don't need their court for permission to be called this. I can give a notice that I'm doing business in this name as this entity, right? And completely move myself away from the other entity. Now, again, I'm not trying to go too spookism on this public domain, you guys. I just want to judge a little bit of the surface. Uh, Sometimes I feel like somebody's watching me. Yeah, Facebook, FBI, all these other, they watching. They're watching us for sure. So I just want to keep it, give you a little bit, not too much, you know. But yeah, I'm not a big believer of changing it with the courts. I believe when you do a indigenous or tribal name, that should be its own separate thing, giving notices that it's going to be taking over the administration of the name estate. Now you might people on the other side like, oh, sovereignty stuff. States, well, your name is actually an estate. And if you think that's spookism, then why are you even practicing law if you think that's just spookism? People protect their names all the time. Their names is attached to so many parts of wealth and assets that generate income and capital and stuff like that. That's why people trademark, copyright their names. It's not just because it's out of the fun of it, right? Uh, Again, that's not getting to the spooking, or just stating the surface obvious of a name is worth something. It has privileges, liabilities, benefits, the like behind it, depending on how it's used. But back to the name, it continues to say, any person may live or die carefully refraining from acquiring any Christian name at all. Wow. And you want to be honest? 95, maybe higher, 90, 96%, 97% of us die every day without a Christian name. What do you mean? My mom and my daddy gave me that name. On what record? Show me a record besides the state's birth certificate. We just showed you the state does not give you a name. That birth certificate does not give you a name. The hospital registration does not give you a name. Show me where you got your name from. Well, when she filled out the application, what are you applying for? Because when I apply for something, I'm supposed to be receiving some form of benefit in return. I'm applying for Social Security benefits. Applying for birth certificate so I can get Social Security benefits. Really? Is that what you think? Okay. Again, no spookism. It says there are scores of cases where a child dies without a name. So that obviously where a law is silent as to the name, it cannot be invoked as a statutory authority to stereotype or validly confer a name. The sum total of the effect of the registration of a name concurrently with the registration of birth is merely an authoritative and notable record of the commencement of repute, which, however, must continue uninterruptedly to crystallize into such repute as the law will take cognizance of. Wow. Well, repute. Repute is reputation. REPUTE. Repute. Your reputation is more precious than gold and silver. I think that's Matthew. You know, when you leave the house, your mom used to say, you represent me. You know, because back in the day, for all this internet stuff, remember how I said earlier that people identified you by your mother and your father. Oh, that's Jackson's son right there. Well, that's Stacy's son. Well, that never changed, right? And me growing up, I was born in the 1900s. Yes, I know I'm old, born in the 1900s. But your parents used to always say, and they probably still say it today, and I kind of say it to my kids, you represent me, right? You go out there, you represent me. So people's opinions about you are a reflection of me, right? Now, we understand children gonna be children. So I'm not getting into detail in that. But that's what our parents used to say to us. You represent me. People's opinions about you are a reflection of me. Hmm, that's important. Opinion, Matthew, reputation is more precious than gold and silver. Uh, Excuse me, I think it's Proverbs. I said Matthew. I'm sorry. Proverbs 22. It's Matthew that says honor your mother and your father. Well, there goes that reputation she's talking about, or he's talking about. When you go out there, you represent me. That's honoring your mother and your father. Having respect on the name that was given to you. And then it says the placement of the name on the birth certificate is nothing more than a reputable record and notable record, authoritative and notable record of an opinion. That's all it is. It's a record of an opinion. And it must continue uninterruptedly to crystallize into such an opinion that the law will take cognizance of. Remember that custom? Something that you continue to use and do all over again that becomes universally known? Well, this is kind of what they're saying here. You use this opinion that was given to you so much, it crystallized to become you. So that's why it's so hard to believe that when you say it's not you, well, you've used it for so long. You got your driver's license in it. You work in this name. You fill out all your applications in this name and in this format. I mean, you feel it. You've been doing this for years. It crystallized into such an opinion as the law will take cognizance of. Wow. Until uninterrupted. So it says it will stand until it's upset by an overt act or by a repute to the contrary. Well, until opinion to the contrary, there goes the name change. Or in a overt or upset by an overt act. Well, the overt act will be a correction. There's the change. I'm interrupting the use of this name, this opinion. I am not trying to substitute this opinion with another opinion. I'm gonna end it right there. I've been on here for a while here. I enjoy you guys for tuning in. It's been a good one. This is one of my freestyle. Was it Monday? My freestyle Mondays coming at you. Again, this is for educational purposes only. Use it wisely. Be studious. Be vigilant in defending and protecting your rights and knowing your rights. Those who slumber on their rights have none. Okay? So it's very important that you know the law of the land. It's no excuses. I believe we be educated in this information. I think we'll be better as a society. Our government wouldn't be so tyrannical and so corrupt. We scream and we holler and we yell, but we never take action. I mean, real action, not just protesting, flooding their institutions with brothers and sisters to get in a position to be in these houses in this Congress to make that change. You're not going to make change from the outside. It's not. It's very hard to do so. You have to get on the inside. We need more brothers and sisters like myself who love the information, who have family, who have friends, who have loved ones in general, who they want to see live a long, peaceful life without being treaded on, right? Without rights being taken from you, without due process, having justice for against abuse of the badge of authority, uh, uh, justice in our court systems, justice in our executive agencies. That's confiscating our children and extorting parents and kidnapping children. And our health organizations. I mean, I can keep going where we need us. We are the new generation that's going to take uh, the wheel, right? And we are the ones going to drive this this busted old car in uh, to the shop, I guess, to get cleaned up on what's that TV show called? When with Exhibit, I know what I'm talking about. Pimp My Ride. Yeah, we go. We taking it to Pimp My Ride. For sure, for sure, for sure. But yeah, man, it's up to us. So stay vigilant. Get out there, study, spread the word, share it, uh, be there for one another, and let's do this again, you guys. It's been fun. Uh, Continue to follow me. Please like and share. I don't know how well I'm doing, how much you're liking the content if you're not liking and you're not sharing. So please like and share. YouTube channel will be dropped in the link if you want to, follow me and regarding some of the financial information I know as well with living equity that we offer along with the law and some of those experiences as well as family law as well. And again, I'm talking from an experience point, not just from a study point, just experiences. So not every situation will be, cookie cutter or uh, 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 related to your situation, but I'm sure you can find some truth in it or something that you can use that maybe can bring a little bit of peace to you or some clarity on how this whole thing works. But I appreciate you guys joining me here at Living Equity. Tune in next time. I'm coming back at you with another one. Until then, you guys be safe, and I'll get with you.